Our next speaker is the president and CEO. I see you back there. Start walking towards the stage, lady. President and CEO of Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate. She is, give her a huge round of applause. She is the Miranda Priestley of Better Homes and Garden Real Estate. That home is not just blue, it's cerulean blue. And I love her outfit, I love everything about her. Let's just bring her up. Sherry Swift. Not Sherry Swift. That's old. Sherry Chris.
Hi, darling. I want to be you. Good morning, all of my friends. It's so good to see you. I can't see you either, but I know who you are and where you are out there. And it's such a pleasure to be back at NAGLREP. Last year, I was absent and very sad to be, but I'm back. And the energy and enthusiasm is greater than it was 2 years ago. So I'm excited. And I'm excited to talk to you this morning about challenge and change, because these times are very interesting. And these times create, well, quite frankly, amazing opportunities for all of us, amazing opportunities. So let's take a look. We're going to start going way back and take a stroll through memory lane, and then talk about what exactly we can do to be our best selves. So, rapid changes here. Many of you have been in this industry like me for a long time, and you know that we've never experienced change as quickly as we are today. We have to be out in front of it in our industry and as individuals. And so I know all of you are striving to do that because you're here at this conference listening to what's taking place. So let's go way back to the 1980s when I started in real estate. And I won't ask you to remember what that book looks like there. Quite often when I'm talking and saying to younger people, do you know what this is? They have no idea. So it's an MLS book, and it's how we used to sell real estate. In fact, back then, what we did is we actually chose the home that the consumer was going to buy. They didn't have a lot of say in it because they had access to zero information. So that's what I call real estate 1.0. And sadly, I was a real estate agent back then, controlling my consumers and determining what type of home they were going to buy. But then we moved into exciting times. Real estate 2.0, the agent-driven era, where the agent was king. In fact, it was all about us as agents, all about us. I'm number one. I'm the hottest realtor in LA. There was actually a billboard back then that I had a picture of, lost it, where there was a guy in a yellow Speedo. He may be in this room. If you are, I want to talk to you later. And the caption was, LA's hottest realtor. Now, I asked myself, what on earth does that have to do with servicing the end consumer? And the answer is absolutely nothing. So that was the me time in real estate. Many of you remember it, the 1990s. And then suddenly we walked into the 2000s, where, whoops, I moved too fast. I wonder if it will go back. No, doesn't matter. So the 2000s were, and still are to a large extent, the consumer-driven era in our industry, where suddenly consumers controlled everything. They had access to all of our information, the listing information, the city information, and they made their own decisions. And we were frightened, in fact, by what our outcome was going to be in our industry, personally and professionally. But good news prevailed, and we entered what I call the data-driven era, but also the consumer data-driven era. Real estate 4.0, and where we're back in control in our industry. Think about that, where we actually control the data, The consumer has access to it too, but we control the data, and we also know through predictive modeling and predictive analytics and AI what those habits are and how we can actually over-service our consumers, because really that's what this industry is all about. It's not about being LA's hottest realtor. It's about providing exceptional customer service to the end consumer. So let's talk about the consumer for a moment. And we're all consumers, and as I'm sure some of you know, I am a mega consumer of certain things. And we all are, I guess, in our own way. But as consumers, we have certain characteristics, and these characteristics apply to real estate as well as what we do in our day-to-day lives. So, first of all, as consumers, we are sensitive to service. In fact, in the old days, when I walked into a store to buy a new pair of boots, and I walked out with something, and I received exceptional service, I said to myself, wow, that was great service. Today we expect it in every interaction, and so we should. We deserve that service, and our clients in the real estate industry deserve that as well. So when you get up every morning, you should think about how you're going to provide that exceptional customer service to the end consumer and how you want it yourself when you're buying goods and services personally. The next one is socially minded. And today we look for companies to align ourselves with that give back to the world. It's important. We talked about it this morning already, the importance of standing for something and the importance of actually being who you say you are and doing what you say you're going to do. That's called authenticity, by the way. So socially minded is very important. And think about that as it relates to industry, to the real estate industry. Do you stand for something as far as charitable giving in your communities? Do you do things like that that actually make a difference? It's important. The third one, of course, is diversity. And really not much needs to be said in this room about that, but I will talk for a few minutes about it because there are different types of diversity. And in fact, the LGBT community across the country that is comprised of real estate buyers and sellers and realtors is growing at a rapid pace. Household formations are growing significantly, and that's a part of it, but it's not all of it. When we think about the fact that by the year 2020, which by the way is next year, over 50% of first-time home buyers will be Hispanic, that's diversity too. And so we need to look out there and embrace all diversity and make sure that we are not just ticking a box off, but we're doing the right thing and we're providing exceptional customer service to all consumers out there. Technology is the next one. I love technology, but it is a tool. It creates efficiencies. It will never take over what we do. I sleep with my iPad and my iPhone, and I'm not afraid to admit it, because once you reach a certain age, I'm going to tell you that you wake up a lot, that you never sleep a full night, and so you have to have something to do. And I've got my own little tools right beside me. But technology from a real estate perspective is important. It allows us to be more efficient. It allows us, and I know you're going to think, we know this, and I know you do, it allows us to work with more consumers and provide that exceptional customer service to them. So when you think about your tech tools, you should be thinking about just that. Today's consumer's empowered as well, and it ties back to the fact that they have access to so much information. And so everything that they do, and I do it myself, if a new company is joining the Better Homes and Gardens Network or one of the other brands that I'm involved in, I do a search on LinkedIn. Do they have a great profile? What does Facebook look like? Are they on Instagram? Is their Instagram private or public? All of those things are important now because it's who we are. We are an empowered nation, and we're an empowered group of people around the country, or around the world, who are able to look at much more, including ratings and rankings. And in real estate, that's important too. When I go to a restaurant, the first thing I do is look at what people are saying. That data that is fed by the consumer is very important in making decisions. And so, to me, being empowered is a very important part of my life right now. We also want personalized service as well. And personalized service in real estate ties back to sometimes demographics. Certain age groups like to be communicated to in different ways. We need to know that, embrace it, and work with people. I like texting. I don't like being on the phone a lot, but I like to have my information sent to me rapidly so I know exactly what's going on at any given time. And so for us to provide exceptional service to the end consumer, we need to practice all of these consumer traits to the nth degree. So that moves me to the next part of what I'd like to talk about today, and that is 5 tips for you. 5 simple tips to make your real estate life better and to provide that exceptional service to the end consumer. The first one, look at your business from an outside perspective. Every improvement counts. So in launching the BH&G network 11 years ago, one of the things I looked at is what are other companies outside of real estate doing, companies that consumers are attracted to. And I studied those companies. Some of them were in the hotel industry, some were fast food restaurants, and other companies that provided great service and that consumers were drawn to. I urge you to do that in real estate as well. Align yourselves with companies that are doing great things and pull those ideas from them to make your business and your lives better. So that's number 1. Number 2, do you have the right plans in place for your future? Now, this might seem simple and simplistic, but I'm going to tell you that it's not. Because what I want to say is that life throws curveballs at you. I certainly know personally from great experience that when you think your life is going in one direction, it ends up going in a different one. You need to have short and long-term plans in place for yourselves personally as well as your business, because you don't know what's around the corner. And, you know, I like to talk to agents and brokers about the fact that we need to concentrate on things that we have control over. We can't control the economy. We can't control interest rates, but we can control our own business, and we can certainly control our own lives. And so that's number 2, and it's an important one. Number 3, stay focused on the fundamentals. You know, I see in our industry companies and brokerages and agents that go off in sometimes crazy directions, and they're not thinking about that very valuable end consumer. They're thinking more about themselves. Stick to what we do best. People dream about home ownership. They dream about, the dreaming phase is very important to them, where they're dreaming about what they want their lives to look like for the next 5 years, next 10 years. And our job is to be there and stand at their side and help them. Those are the fundamentals. Let's not get crazy in our industry. Let's stick to doing what we do best. Number 4, never lose sight of the consumer. And, you know, again, that is something easy to say, but it's something we don't always think about. We put the consumer first. Without people buying and selling real estate, we're not in business anymore. Our companies are out of business. And so how do we encourage them to do that? That responsibility falls on us. It doesn't fall on the banks. It doesn't fall on the government. It doesn't fall on advertising. That's our responsibility. There are well over 1.3 million realtors across the country, And it's our responsibility to talk about home ownership and ensure that we can help as many people as possible achieve the American dream. So that's number 4. Number 5, we count and measure steps, calories, and likes. Those 3 things are very important. But are you treating your time the same way? Are you only spending time on things that truly matter? And discard the rest of the stuff. Don't do the easy things first. Do the hard things first. I learned the hard way that was the best way to run my business life and my personal life. I don't have a lot of downtime, so I need to make sure that every minute in every day is as effective, as profitable, and as fun as possible. So those are my 5 takeaways. I have one other thing that I want to talk about, and it really has to do with this community and the country as a whole. And I'm going to share something that happened recently in our network and also in your network. And it has to do with an agent that is part of my network, and he's also part of your community. And a terrible thing happened to him over the past several weeks, and I'm going to show you what it was. So it's horrifying that Blair Myers, on one of his yard signs, actually had this written. And so when he sent it to me, I contacted him immediately, and I said, "Are you okay?" And so he said, "I'm okay, because this happens to me all the time." And so I said, "I'm not okay with this, and nor should anybody else be." And so what he did was he posted it on Jeff, the NAGLREP Facebook page, and many of you commented and supported him through all of this. And that was great. And from that, the Georgia Association of Realtors found out, and they also issued a statement, a public statement, where that association will not tolerate hate in our industry. And now NAR is aware of this as well. And so the movement continues. And so what's my point here? My point is that we need to support each other each and every day, because it's tough out there, no matter who you are, what community you work in, or what type of real estate you practice. And for Blair, and we communicated yesterday, he said, "Could you deliver this message to the audience?" And I said, "Yes." And so the message is this. His message is, he works in a small town in Georgia. And if he can be a top producing agent in a community like that, that sometimes has other ideas about how things should operate and how people should be, then any of us can be the best that we can be. And so that's the message that I wanted to share with you today, and say thank you for supporting one of my team members and supporting one of your own through something that, although he says it didn't bother him, we all know that it would bother each and every one of us. So together we stand united in support each and every day, and I thank you all for that.
That's a great speech, Sherry. She did all of that in Louis Vuitton go-go boots. So, follow that, bitches.